X-47B, America's $1.5 billion stealth drone. The U.S. Navy almost developed a stealthy, armed, carrier-launched attack drone to bring new range dimensions to maritime power projection. This drone would have conducted high-risk forward offensive missions against enemy air defenses, enemy surface ships, and even adversarial fighter aircraft. Moreover, this first-of-its-kind drone had the potential to serve as a carrier-launched refueler. The drone was based on the Northrop Grumman-developed X-47B demonstrator aircraft, which had already achieved a significant milestone of landing autonomously on an aircraft carrier as part of the Navy's Unmanned Carrier-Launched Airborne Surveillance Strike, or UCLASS program. Despite the achievement, extensive debate and programmatic deliberation led to the cancellation of the UCLASS program. Instead, the Navy opted to develop a less stealthy and unarmed refueler drone called the MQ-25 Stingray. On March 18, 2021, some prominent members of Congress called on the Navy to resume the development of a UCLASS-like capability. The Navy needs to develop an unmanned long-range carrier-based penetrating strike capability. Yet this nascent UCLASS program was usurped to field a far less capable MQ-25 tanking drone. Representative Bob Whitman, House Armed Services Subcommittee on Sea Power and Projection Forces ranking member, said in prepared remarks in Congress. Retired in April 2015, the U.S. Navy's two X-47B, known by their call signs as Salty Dog 501 and Salty Dog 502, represent the most significant progress in unmanned combat aerial system to date. With its distinctive, sleek, stealthy, tailless profile, the aircraft has become a poster child for the future of military drone technology. But how did the program come about? And why was the Salty Dog retired? Northrop Grumman took an ambitious approach, starting with the construction of a small proof-of-concept demonstrator called X-47A Pegasus, which it funded entirely on its own. The X-47A fulfilled Northrop Grumman's objectives with its first and only flight in April 2003. The company then designed a much larger aircraft for the naval version requirement, the X-47B. 6 years since the X-47B began development, Northrop Grumman finally received a contract to build two X-47Bs. In that time, military drones had become much more prominent as a result of the success of the MQ-1 Predator and MQ-9 Reapers in Afghanistan and Iraq. Though development costs were quite significant, reaching nearly $1.5 billion by 2015, the program meshed well with evolving Navy requirements. One such requirement was that the drone be capable of long-range strike missions, reflecting the Navy's new China-centric strategic orientation, including increasing anxiety over advances in Chinese anti-shipping technologies that would require the U.S. Navy to have the ability to launch attacks from a greater range. The X-47B has an overall design similar to that of the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit. It features a blended wing body with no vertical stabilizer, and above its pointed nose sits the air intake for a single Pratt & Whitney F100 220U turbofan engine, which is the same engine used in the F-16 Fighting Falcon. The engine is a two-shaft, afterburning turbofan that produces up to 17,000 pounds of thrust. The engine is designed to provide the drones with a high level of performance and maneuverability. The X-47B has a wingspan of 62 feet and a length of 38 feet, with an empty weight of approximately 14,000 pounds and maximum takeoff weight of 44,000 pounds. It can provide a cruising speed of 685 miles per hour and has an operational range in excess of 2,100 nautical miles. Its operational altitude is up to 40,000 feet. The X-47B's flight test began in 2011, lasted slightly over 4 years. During this period, it demonstrated the ability to perform a full range of shipboard and non-combat aerial operations, such as deck handling, launch and recovery, integration with manned aircraft operations, and in-air refueling from a manned tanker. These were all significant achievements for autonomous UAVs. Then, when the X-47B autonomously landed on the aircraft carrier USS George H.W. Bush, many hailed it as a historic moment in the development of military drone technology. These carrier landings are among the most challenging tasks for pilots. On November 10, 2013, the testing of the X-47B continued aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt. During this phase, the digitized carrier-controlled environment of the UAV was tested, including the communication and interaction between the drone and carrier personnel during launch, recovery, and flight operations. Besides that, on August 17, 2014, the X-47B made history by taking off and landing on Theodore Roosevelt alongside an F-18 Hornet, marking the first time a UAV operated in conjunction with manned aircraft aboard an aircraft carrier. The Hornet was launched from the carrier, followed by the X-47B. After a brief flight, the X-47B touched down and immediately took off again to verify system behavior. After 24 minutes, the X-47B landed on the flight deck and taxied away to make room for the Hornet to land. The demonstration met all test objectives and marked the X-47B's 5th test period at sea. The drone had completed 8 catapult launches from the carrier, 30 touch and goes, and 7 arrested landings aboard the George H.W. Bush and Theodore Roosevelt. Air combat cannot be separated from the war. The technology and capabilities of fighter aircraft from generation to generation will continue to grow. Currently, the issue of 6th-generation fighter aircraft is the topic of discussion in almost all foreign media. Hello, generation fighter. A 6th-generation fighter is an idea for a type of jet fighter that would be more advanced than the 5th-generation jet fighters that are already in use and being made, as Russia and China are among the nations that have announced the development of a 6th-generation aircraft program. Japan, Italy, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Spain, and Sweden have also partnered in multinational programs to share development costs. It will be necessary to improve and adapt the 5th generation's capabilities for air-to-air capability, battlefield survivability in the anticipated anti-access/area denial environment, and ground support and attack to the new threat landscape. Although close-quarters dogfighting is becoming less common, the initial focus on air superiority roles has expanded to include ground support, cyber warfare, and even space warfare capabilities, with beyond visual range (BVR) air-to-air missile capability remaining crucial. The first 6th-generation fighters for the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Navy are anticipated to enter service in the 2030s. Through the Next Generation Air Dominance (NGAD) program, the U.S. Air Force is pursuing the development and acquisition of a 6th-generation air superiority fighter to replace the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor, similar to the smaller Lockheed Martin F-35C Lightning II. The U.S. Navy is pursuing a program with the same name and a fighter component called the F/A-XX to replace its current aircraft, like the Boeing F/A-18EE/F Super Hornet. The Navy and Air Force have very different ideas about their respective next-generation jet concepts, but they both share some fundamental traits. While the U.S. Navy emphasizes that the F/A-XX shouldn't be so focused on survivability as to sacrifice speed and payload, the USAF views stealth as being extremely important for the F/X, despite the fact that many aircraft manufacturing countries are competing to make it. The U.S. will lead the development of the 6th-generation fighter jet. Do you agree with us?